Hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning or good evening, depending upon from where you are logging in to this call. Um, Today's call, we are going to discuss about the cybersecurity trends in IoT. Right? You might wonder why is it needed, right? Have you ever imagined that an artificial heart could be attacked from remote? Somebody can just control your speed of your heart by pressing up down button, right? That's really scary, right? And imagine a scenario: a simple looking thermostat can hack a casino full of millions of dollars. Sounds not possible. I don't think that's something which we can actually feel or imagine, right? So these are the kind of cases which actually happen and happening and going to happen. So this is because anything which has connectivity to internet have access to the network where we are on. And imagine a scenario where your machines are left open and have vulnerabilities, then that is the path to the network and use your systems and then actually do data breaches and not only expose the data but also expose the organization to the real world. So that is the point which I'm going to stress upon. However, I'm also going to cover um, a few more points. That is, um, so we are speaking about Internet of Things here, right? How is it trending today? How it looks in future? And and for those people who don't know IoT, just I have a couple of use cases where we are using the Internet of Things in medical and smart home, etc. And then we are going to see some classic examples of data breaches which happened on um, real cases, by the way, using Internet of Things. And from there, we'll also learn lessons on what should we do to avoid such kind of attacks in future. Yeah, that's the agenda for now. Yeah. So if you have any question, I guess there is a possibility to put the question there. I will be able to answer at the end of the webinar. But keep scribbling your questions as the time we keep going on to the session. So first one. So what do we think about IoT, right? So IoT is growing enormously, as you see here. So the numbers are exponentially growing. By the 2020, you might find a significant number of systems which will be on. Sorry, is there a way I can minimize this, Pritama? I'm not able to see the full screen. I'm sorry, guys.
Ma'am, is it okay now?
No, I mean the panel, the side panel which comes, right? I just want to
Okay, okay.
minimize that.
1 second, ma'am. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm able to do that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate that. Sorry for that. So what we are seeing here is IoT usage and trends, right? You might have seen the curve which it took from 2009 to 2020. The numbers actually were moved from some hard full of numbers 2009, maybe in thousands probably. Now by 2020, we have close to 50 billion IoT devices already in the system, right? So that was a prediction which was given by Gartner earlier. And then based on the IoT analytics survey, the IoT is used majorly for smart city, followed by connected industry and connected building. After that, connected cars and smart energy. Let's understand what do we mean by smart city, right? Smart city is where your houses are powered using electricity, which could be turned off and on using your internet connected meters. And your doors are actually access controlled. And then the doors means the doors to the major communities, right? Could be controlled by the electronic gateways. And at the same time, there is again a phenomena of connected lights. The lights could be switched on and switched off using the computer. I think you might have seen in several sci-fi movies, right? The lights could be controlled by hacking into the traffic grid. The traffic grid is actually on the internet. That's how they are able to do. So that's smart city about. And lot of countries are moving on to smart city. India is not left behind in that area. And next is connected industry. This is where you see the connected what we can say robotics, or you can name about the machines which you can run from the network, right? Remotely operated machines. And then also the OS, which we can say OT. It is called OT, about the industrial operating systems could be operated through internet. That is the place in which there's a lot of exponential growth happening. Third one is connected building. I just mentioned about the gates being controlled, and then and we'll speak about smart homes in a couple of slides from now. And then connected cars. This is something which you already seen. The cars could be controlled, and you can manage the control. Car can run by itself. There is a automatically what you can say automatic ignition and automatic steering control vehicles. That's available already, and that's trending. And finally, smart energy, the smart grid. The entire power to a city could be connected through the internet, and then you can manage it. So that's the smart energy. So these are the 5 areas where IoT is trending, and it's increasing. Next, okay, let's, as I said, just we now we know the trends. Let's see if the use cases of where we are using, right? So smart home. So what is that? What are the features of smart home, right? You've seen Alexa, you've seen Google Home. Those are voice assistants, right? You actually can control the music, or you can control the video running on your TV, or you can actually ask it to play some odd joke, right? So that's possible. The voice assistant can also do switch on switch off the lights in case your switches are smart and your lights are smart, which is lighting controls could be smart, as well as your home appliances like thermostat, fridge, as well as your microwave oven, or your washing machine. All those could be controlled through voice assistant, or just through remote, and then like that I can go on and on with various features now currently available in smart home, right? So when we are speaking about all these features, the concerns on the privacy mainly, right? We are giving too much of data, right? We do not know what is being recorded, what is not being recorded. There was a case recently which we heard that Siri is Siri was recording the bedroom conversation, right? Which is something we might not have even envisaged it. Who asked Siri to actually start and record, right? Or maybe that was switched on and you won't even realized. So we do not know what data is getting recorded on those machines. End of the day, those are machines, and you might have given a record button, but you might have forgotten to say don't record, right? So there is a possibility of what you can say. All your private data being recorded and being analyzed by the cloud or anywhere across. That's the first part. Second one is profiling is another one. What do you mean by profiling, right? If somebody knows when you are coming to your home, when you are entering to the premise, when you are leaving the premise, that's one thing. Second is what are your choices, what do you like, what you don't like, what do you eat, when you actually switch on the fridge, how many liters of milk you are using, or when are you using the refrigerator. So based on all your what you can say various things you do at your home, you are actually giving a lot of data of your personal self um, to be printed somewhere. You might wonder, anyway, how does it matter? Somebody knows about my profiling. How is it going to be useful? So that is up to each individual to say whether no, it's very private for me. I don't want anybody to know about my choices of what I see on the TV. and I don't want anybody to know what I am cooking or what I am actually wearing. So all these things are our own interests. So we don't want that to be visible, right? That's the point of privacy. And eavesdropping dropping is possible. Earlier, there used to be a top people eavesdropping and watching from the walls, but now somebody might be knowing your whereabouts by just peeping through the network, right? And yeah, so another thing is now there are data privacy controls came in based on which uh, we are looking for options where the user has a right to erase. User must have approval of whether the data could be used for in certain way, and user should also have opt-in, opt-out. So those are the areas users are looking for, and that's been enforced by various laws and regulations. And there is another concern, right? Security concerns. So what do you mean by security concern here, right? All the other things are privacy related. The security related one is you also enable your, for example, your doors are enabled through the electronics control, smart control, and those are vulnerable to hack, right? Through which people can access your door and then enter to your house. That's one possibility. Second is identity theft. Somebody knows your profile, they can actually portray that it is you and steal something of your own choice. You are not a disgruntled employee in our organization, but somebody can use your profile to show you as a disgruntled employee, and they might have done something damaging in your office, and you might be shown as a person done it. You know, so that's possible. That's called identity theft. And then true security could not be achieved in those scenarios where we are leaving open a lot of points like this, right? So next is about Internet of Medical Things. So very promising now, because imagine today we are at home. We can't go to a hospital, and we can't go outside to do medication. So we are relying on some kind of advices, right? So that's something we are in the current scenario. It's very difficult for us to figure out how do I get diagnosis, right? Wherever in advanced developed countries like US and Europe, they've already started using IoT in different areas, right? So the areas like remote diagnosis, which means let me give you an example. Like we all you all use Fitbit or any other kind of tracker, right? Which can sense your movement from here and there, and also it will give you sleep analysis. It also can give you the heartbeat reading. So so you do know the smartwatches and smart trackers already, right? Just add an additional bit to it, additional panel to it, which actually can monitor your insulin control, and which can also check your uh, what we can say stress control. So, and all those things could be possible. There are different levels of IoT systems are coming in, and even artificial heart, right? There is a artificial heart device available, which is actually connected to internet, through which the remote doctor can diagnose and see whether the speed is going at the right rate. That is possible. Yeah, that's about the applications. These are applications designed to provide what we can say easier handling of patients and provide some kind of comfort to them, right? Like for example, when senior citizens are at home and the parents, I mean their uh, their family members are working from office, so there is nobody to take care of the senior citizens, right? So in those scenarios they are using these kind of devices so that they can actually monitor the situation, and then in case there is a exception, for example there is a different insulin level, or there is a different heart rate, based on that they can actually do immediate follow-ups, right? Saying, asking the nurse to bring the patient to the office, hospital, and meanwhile they can also actually track the location where the patient is. Accordingly they can, depending upon the time and distance, they can get the ICU ready, get the surgery ready, all those things. The predictions are possible. Those are the applications why the Internet of Medical Things are designed, right? So there are a lot of benefits of doing it. The benefits are, because we are doing based on the facts and data, there are less number of errors, and there will be less amount of costing because there is a continuous diagnosis happening. And then there is a, but patient experience will be better. That's the idea. The patient experience is better because they have been taken care even when they are resting, when they are outside the home. They are at the home, at the comfort of their own home, but the treatment is still going on. So that's another reason. And possible home care, there is a possibility of getting home care. And then idea here is that they will be getting better monitoring and diagnosis, right? So those are the what we can say ideology or expectations of the applications, right? However, there are certain security concerns in it, right? In case that IoT, whatever we are using, that's a firmware which we are using, right? If that is not properly identified, properly patched those gaps, then what if that particular small tiny device which is actually monitoring the insulin and adding the additional insulin is controlled by some hacker? Then it's a big concern for personal health, right? And that could lead into extortion, blackmail. Okay, if you don't pay me so much, then I will actually increase the insulin level, right? So that these kind of possibilities are visible. And then another point is, nobody wants to get this sensitive information out in the market or out in the public, correct? Some people don't want not some, everybody don't want the medical information to go into the public grounds. So if people want to actually expose that kind of information for a money, for a ransom, so that's quite possible. And again, we spoke about identity theft and medical data, not in the interest of patient, but to actually damage the image of the hospital. So they leak a lot of credentials of the patients to actually defame the health institutions. So those are cases which you see every day. Right. So there are privacy concerns too, which we already spoke about earlier. So the health data, we don't want it to be public. That's something which is private and known to only few people. And if people know about it, then there is a possibility of social exclusion, possibility of adverse employment, and then credit decision. Right. So those are the key points about IMT. Right. Now let's see the cybersecurity attack trends, right? So cyber attacks on IoT devices surged by 300% in 2019, right? Those are measured in billions. I mean, so much of money has been actually been required to either mitigate the efforts or been what we can say cost to the company because of these attacks. That's the number coming from Forbes. And Gartner predicts that 25% of the identified attacks in enterprises will involve IoT by 2020. That's now. So majority of the attacks, whatever we are seeing, one fourth of them will be for or using IoT. That's another prediction, right? So now let's see. We've seen predictions, we have seen trends. Now let's see some use cases which I mentioned about, to give you a clear idea. Okay, as of now we just said this is possible, that is possible. Let's see some of those cases which happen, right? So one of them is popular IoT attacks, which is actually on Mirai DDoS. Um, DDoS is actually denial of attack, distributed denial of service attack, which happened in US and Europe. What that means is, as I just mentioned, the IoT could be camera, IoT could be a CCTV, it could be a router, it could be your Wi-Fi device. All these devices are actually having, we can say, a simple firmware. That's it. We don't actually consider them as internet systems, right? We just buy a system and fit it and let it run. So there are vulnerabilities in those machines too. They also require to be patched, that we don't know, right? So what happened in this case in 2016 is, um, attackers used these infected IoT devices as their homing location, and they've added vulnerabilities or malware onto those, and using those what we can say, the CCTVs and IoT devices, they use them as zombies, right? to attack the internet. They they sent so many packets on the internet that internet actually got flooded, and there is no the entire internet is down, and in Europe and US for a few hours. Right? That's a huge damage to business as well as the as well as for the network providers as well as for the country itself. Right? Countries themselves. So that was a kind of scenario. So what was the type of attack? Let's know about the details. Right? Around 100,000 um, machines, IP cameras and DVR players. The DVR players, you use it for just see the videos. That also was involved in this kind of attack. And the DDS attacks were sending data at 1 terabits per second. That's huge data from each camera. Imagine that is the kind of data going from each machine multiplied by these 100,000 machines. So that's too much of data on the pipe, right? So obviously the network gets choked, and because of which internet service got disrupted. And then the services which are continuously running, right? Twitter, Guardian, Netflix, Reddit, and CNN, those are the websites which their their services were completely hampered because the attacks were targeting on those websites and services which require continuous updates, right? They use that as a channel and then actually chalk that pipe. So what are the lessons we learned from here, right? um, we need to be very careful about those devices that cannot have software or password or firmware. So in case there is a device we don't have a password, then we need to be aware that the firmware could be updated. We need to ask whether the firmware update is possible. If it is not possible, I think it's better we shouldn't connect it, right? And then there are username passwords. You get these IoT devices, and there is a default username password comes, right? We need to ask them, or we ourselves need to ensure that it's mandatorily changed. And then passwords of IoT devices should be unique for each device. It shouldn't be like, for example, there are 10 cameras, but each camera have the same password. Then it's quite easy for attacking others. And then always patch IoT with softwares, right? This looks really scary. It's very difficult to patch the servers and the desktops. We are now speaking about IoT devices to be patched. Yeah, sounds difficult, but yes, we need to do it if we want to maintain a safe environment. So the next one is about the heart. I just mentioned earlier. Um, so FDA is actually a regulatory authority in US. This is the regulatory authority which gives confirmation on any device which is actually getting public. I mean, any medical device which is actually released for the public has to get sign off from the FDA as an authority, right? So they have declared that St. Judas, one of the institute's cardiac devices, can be hacked, right? So they said these hearts, which has a pulse generator, the pulse generator has leads which connects to your atrium and ventricles, etc. So the generator, this pulse generator, could be hacked, and pulses could be increased or decreased. That's one. And second is the battery could be switched completely off, which means practically saying the heart could be stopped. Or somebody can administer pacing or shock. They can send a big shock, um, which will actually create a random impact on heart. Right? These are officially declared as a vulnerabilities, which were identified by FDA. And then so Abbott Laboratories, who worked with FDA, they worked with them and improved the security of the affected devices. Initially, all the devices have been called off, and then they fixed it. And then now, so what they are doing is they are checking any implanted device when they are doing. They ensure that the vulnerabilities are closed. However, it's important for us to know that all implanted devices, whichever machine it is, with remote monitoring, have possible or potential vulnerability, right? So FDA provided guidance and for manufacturing industry and healthcare, through which people are following and ensuring that all the medical devices are under control. So that's why it's very important when you are buying any health device, just buy only from authorized vendor, and we need to have that stamping, and we need to have that guarantee that this has been gone through multiple occurrences, and we can say the federal as well as the government approval on those devices. Only then you start using it. Ask those questions. It's okay, um, to the doctors, right? If you are into medical field, just cross check this part very thoroughly, and then ensure your health monitor revolves. Also, in case we are using something like that, ensure that we get updates and patches. Talk to them, ask them that is it a possibility to patch. You'd let me know how do we do it, right? I'm just speaking you as a user, but if you are a part of medical facility, or if you are a part of the medical vendor, ensure that the devices which you release are up to date, and you are releasing the systems with the right kind of patches. Okay, the third one is about the casino. So I just mentioned earlier, right? So a casino, um, okay, actually the casino had a beautiful aquarium. Inside that there's a thermometer, right? So the thermometer is actually connected through network, so that they can actually reduce, monitor the temperature and then adjust the oxygen inside. That's why they had it. So considering that thermometer is on the same internal network, so what the attackers did is, what the hackers did is, they exploited the vulnerability in that thermostat, and then they managed to access high roller database of gamblers, right, which has multiple billions of data, and then access the data through the network, and then they landed through the thermostat and went through the thermostat outside to get all that data as well as money up through the cloud, right? And this is quite possible. Yeah. So so what is that lessons we learn from here? So the lessons we learn here is that IoT device manufacturers, again, it's similar to what we just mentioned earlier. So when we are speaking about any IoT, any device which is connected to internet need to be treated similarly like a laptop or a desktop or a mobile. Even the mobile have certain flaws and loopholes. Just be aware that those are also intelligent machines. Those could be hackable, right? Ensure that in case those devices are not used frequently, all your intranet connections are behind a firewall, and you have a right set of rules um, to protect those machines which can't be updated, right? And educate yourself on IoT products. Now you got to know, just educate people around you saying that this is possible. And conclusions, right? So IoT devices certainly improves quality of life. It improves productivity. It improves efficiency. These are certainly needed, and that's the way we are going to work. More and more IoT devices will continue to occur, and we are going to use them, and that's going to be the real. And we are not going to get out of that. What is important for us is, um, there are cases where the visual benefits of our IoT outshine invisible risks. There are risks underlying it which you might not be able to see. So try to pick that point, saying that there are vulnerabilities in being connected. Just be aware, okay, your Alexa is on, right? You are using it only when needed. For example, you want to actually control your TV, so you switch it on when you need it, and then again switch it off, right? So only thing what is needed here is you are using it as an intelligent machine when you need it, but not when it needs you, right? uh, I mean do not forget to switch it off. That's the key thing. And then also be aware, any IoT device when you are using have certain vulnerabilities, and then we need to be aware of it and try to address it as much as possible. And then be aware of usage of data, as I mentioned. Beware of privacy implication. So you're a person that you don't want any of your information to be leaked outside, then you need to be careful on, okay, what is the information actually you're putting public, what is the information you are not releasing to the public, right? When I'm seeing releasing to the public, when you are actually connecting to the internet, and then you are trying to share information about your access to the door, all those things, unless it is an internal network, it is not accessible to internet. So you need to be aware about that. So I'll give you a classic case here. um, there was a boy, we can say age of 2 years. So he was at home, and then with under supervision of a nanny. So parents wanted additional guidance, and they said, okay, let us put a CCTV to monitor the baby, right? So after 3 months, they started observing the baby started speaking in German, right? But whereas the parents are from French, they don't know how the kid learned German, and even the nanny doesn't know. So one day, somehow they managed to ask the boy and asked him, "How did you learn this?" He says he started showing the camera. So somebody on the internet, um, through the camera, was talking to the person and teaching him, right? So yeah, so I leave it to you whether this is scary to you, whether it is good for you. I'm not sure. Just I want to leave it to this point that when we are opening something to the internet, just be aware that um, the privacy could be implored, right? So in similar scenarios, what you would have done is you would have left the control limited to only for one machine. I mean, the CCTV is accessible only from particular machine from you or from your mobile or something like that. So beware of the privacy implications and security concerns. And finally, connect the device only when you need it. And second one is ensure that they are updated and you have the right machines, right? You have the right IoT devices which are actually um, federally governed, and then that's when you are using them. Yeah. So that's all. That's what I have, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.